Well, people are still coming to Florida from some really interesting places.
That's right. And we did this report last year, and this year it's changed,
It
but they're
has.
still coming.
Let's talk about that.
Let's do it.
Well, welcome back to the channel. I'm Terry with MVP Realty,
I'm Rich with MVP Realty.
and we're here to really bring you an update about where the top 10 areas are that people are moving to Florida.
Yep.
And we'll kind of give you some insight about whether we're seeing that in our business and kind of what some of the patterns are that have changed, as you said, since we did this the last time.
Right.
So we'll kind of do a countdown, and we'll start with number 10.
Do the top 10. Here we come.
All right, top 10. Then making the list at number 10 is the state of Virginia. So they're sending some folks down to Florida.
Right.
And I think we've experienced that ourselves. We've had wonderful customers come and visit us from Florida and purchase. And it's not only vacation homes,
No.
it's people who are making permanent changes. And I think in those areas like Virginia, people coming down are sometimes people who are still working, and they're realizing they can work from home from anywhere.
Exactly. I think that's been one of the big motivators for people to join us from a lot of these states is that, yeah, they can do it from home, and home can be anywhere.
That's right. So it's great to welcome our friends from Virginia, and they've made the list at number 10. Now, number 9, we go into one of the parts of the country that I think is really always seen as a feeder area to the southwest coast of Florida
Right.
in particular. Not that people aren't going all over Florida.
Right. Anybody familiar with I-75?
That's right. And when you do that, it means people might be coming our way from the lovely Midwest.
That's right.
And Ohio makes the list at number 9. Ohio has a large population, so it makes sense that with the proportion of people who might be coming out of Ohio, they have enough people coming and
Right.
hitting Florida that they make this list.
That's right.
But they are not the only Midwest state, so we'll get back to that again a little bit later in the
That's
list.
right. We'll visit the I-75 corridor once again later.
I bet we will. And so that's great. Now, an interesting one for number 8 is the state of
Texas.
All right. Now, I would say, in my recollection, Texas has also been a state that has really taken in a lot
Right.
of people who've looked for some different dynamics in
Right.
states, different weather patterns if they've been up north or out west.
Right.
And it's interesting to see them make the top 10 list now of sending folks from
Right.
Texas over to Florida.
And without looking at the statistics, I would imagine that Texas is gaining more than are moving out. But when people are moving out,
Interesting where they're headed.
they're probably headed for maybe they want to get closer to the beaches or something like that. And,
That's right.
So
and it could be a vacation home,
Right.
and it could be that permanent move as well.
right. And we've also experienced that people
In a
coming
very
in from
lovely
Texas.
way.
Yeah.
And so it's great to welcome our friends from the wonderful state of Texas.
That's
and
right.
there are more coming all the time. Number 7 is a tried and true, and I think this one's not too different from the list that we shared when we did this review of a year and a half ago, and that's the state of Georgia.
Right.
And I guess it kind of makes sense, right? It is a border state to Florida, and when states have border states, there's just always a lot of flow back and forth. And as people want to inch a little bit further into this wonderful weather that we have,
Right.
they head down from Georgia and they join us in Florida. So that's great too. That's good. Now, what about number 6? Is that a surprise to you, or is that a,
No.
a standard?
Not a surprise at all because we've seen it ourselves more than once.
Many times, I think.
And I think a lot of this is definitely, I think, that they want to warm up and come to Florida.
That's right. And that is number 6 on the list are residents from the state of Pennsylvania.
Right.
Who are finding their way to the sunny side of Florida.
Right.
And we have seen quite a number of customers come our way from Pennsylvania to Southwest Florida to the greater Naples area. And you're right, it's a lot of it is climate, some of it's cost of living.
Right.
It's maybe a different pace of things compared to the Northeast. And people really looking forward to just all the things that the economy and the state of Florida's lifestyle have to offer.
Absolutely. They come on down, they leave their snow tires home, and they just move right in.
That's right. Now we're moving through the list pretty quick, so the next ones now become the top 5.
Yeah.
Now that's kind of considerable, and you see when you look in the statistics and the articles that go around this, the sheer numbers really jump here. And again, partly because some of these states are going to be very populous states, and just even in proportion, they send large numbers of people when they do head our way.
Right.
But we talked about going back up that I-75 corridor.
Right.
So where's number 5? Where are the people coming from?
Well, we got people that are just driving down from Illinois.
They sure are. And so we do see a number of Illinois license plates
Oh, yes.
that then get converted to Florida plates. And it's, again, a feeder state that we have had experience with in Florida for a long time.
Right.
There are a number of people from the greater Midwest, so Illinois and Ohio, that are on this list, highly populated states, but they bring along friends from Michigan and Indiana and the
Right.
surrounding states. But Illinois folks come and visit or vacation for the winter,
Right.
and when they find something that they like over a period of time, it's not unusual to see those nice friends from Illinois saying they want a place of their
They
own.
make the switch.
They
That's
make
right.
the switch. And when you think about taxes, and when you think about, again, cost of living and
Mm-hmm. Yes.
the weather, depending on you know, what
Yeah.
your tolerance is for cold
Right.
and snow and ice,
Right.
I don't blame them.
Well, now, we got, a little chilly there the past few nights, didn't we? But nothing anywhere
Not like
near what the people up north have had to endure.
No, that cold blast from Canada gets to them a lot
It-
quicker than it can get to us.
it does,
so
yeah.
We're very, very fortunate. But it's great always to welcome friends from Illinois down to Florida,
Right.
and they come in large numbers. Now, number 4 is another one that's been kind of moving along on this list.
Right.
To
And
have it be in
I
the
would
top
think it-
5 and now at number 4
Right.
is a pretty good sea change from what things used to be.
Yeah, I don't think it used to even make the list a few years back, but
We
now.
started to see it during the pandemic.
Right,
We saw it
that's
some,
when it
and
started.
we started talking about it.
Right.
And now, when we talk about the statistics, we'll see how much it's grown.
Right.
But it used to be California, here we come, but
Yeah,
I
but
think it's
California, here we go.
here we go to Florida.
So, yeah.
California
When
is
people
our,
move out of California, the number one state that they move to is Florida.
Is it? That's amazing. And to see friends and customers coming from all the western states is a trend that really started to accelerate within the last 3 or 4 years, including during the pandemic years. And when you look at California, the increase in the number of people from California coming over to Florida is up 43% over the 5-year average.
Right.
So, I mean, that's pretty considerable.
That
like
is-
almost half again.
Right.
And over 55% more than in 2020.
Right.
And that's when we started to see things, move in this direction. So
Exactly.
that's trend started maybe back in 19 or 20, and certainly in 20 with the pandemic.
It did, because we had people calling us and at that time and saying, okay, this is our plan. We want to do that. We have to get some things squared away at home,
Right.
which you have to do no matter where you live.
Right.
But we got those calls. This is their plan. We got to get squared away. How we're going to do it, when we're going to put our house up on the market, and how we're going to make the move. And now they've
coming.
done that, and now they're coming.
coming to fruition, all
Right.
those plans. And so that is a big jump in numbers and a really fun new pattern to see as it creates a new mix of inputs to our
Sure.
customer base across Southwest Florida and across other parts of Florida as well. Now, when we get to the top 3,
Yeah.
the next 2 in particular were really the top of our list the last time
They
we
were.
did this. Big populations, and traditionally, this migration or tradition of moving to
Right.
Florida has been really ingrained in these 2 states. So
Right.
maybe these won't surprise us or our viewers too much, but they deserve their spot on the list.
They do?
Now, number 3, I could relate to this.
Yeah, I wonder how. Yeah.
I'll get to you on the next one. Number 3 is New Jersey.
Yes.
A very large population of folks in New Jersey, and when people want to find that next place to go, when they're thinking about their criteria of what would make,
Right.
the next best place for them to head in terms of housing and maybe lifestyle, they may be nearing retirement. We do have a lot of folks that may not be retired yet, but are thinking about it and are
Right.
getting that plan in place. New Jersey is a state where we do get inquiries and customers all the time, all
Right.
year long. We're happy to help them. We can
Right.
relate, having
Yes.
come from there. We get it. And there's a really nice balance to be had by, being in the same time zone, being able to get back
You
and
can
visit
s-
family
exactly.
and see some folks. And we know people who love having homes on the Jersey Shore for the summer. Who
Right.
could blame them?
Right.
Beautiful. And yet, once the weather turns, They pack up that house for the,
For
for
the
the Jersey
season.
Shore for the season,
Right.
and their
And
other
come on down.
place or their
Right.
full-time place is in Florida.
I mean, that's like the best of both worlds there, right?
Isn't
I mean,
that
you have a beautiful
incredible?
place up there on the shore, and then you come back down to Florida, and you
How
you know
can you
you
go
get your
wrong?
pickleball game going,
That's
so
right.
so that when you go back, you're already in shape,
That's right. So we welcome our friends from New Jersey at spot number 3 on this year's list.
Right.
And now number 2, again, big population, always a feeder state
Right.
historically to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And not only the east coast of Florida anymore, but pretty strongly to our area in
Exactly.
southwest Florida.
They found Alligator Alley and come down 95 and then just scoot on over
across.
Alligator Alley.
And you can relate to this.
Yeah, and it's New York.
All right. So
So-
would anybody be surprised to know that New York is right near the top of the list of states that are sending folks to Florida?
Yeah.
And that Florida's a really great choice
It is.
for people. And again, there are
Again,
different costs and
Cost
tax
of living
and
is way different. We have
cost
people
of
telling us
housing.
all the time the difference in cost of living between up there and coming in, and they're just so happy to be able to the money that they save, they put it into living.
That's right.
Whether it's traveling or going out to dinner or a new car or whatever, and that's from the money that they save from coming from some of the higher tax states.
That's a really good point. And or, the house where you raised your family that was big and sprawling and expensive to
Right.
keep.
Right.
And you don't need to do that anymore.
No,
you
you
can look
don't.
at even a different kind of housing product.
Right.
When you come to Florida, you might be ready for something new.
Something a little different.
And so
Yep.
that's great. But that only got us to number 2 on the list.
It did, and now last year this didn't make the list at all,
At all.
but and it went from not on the list to number 1 on
number
the
one.
list, and it's obvious that once you hear who it is as to why, and that is
Everybody from foreign countries.
Right.
So folks from foreign countries have outstripped all of those states that we've mentioned in
Right.
terms of the number of people who have migrated to Florida.
Right.
Right? And they're measuring that by looking at license exchanges,
Mm-hmm.
license plates and things, and who's turning in a plate from someplace and turning in their license from somewhere,
Okay.
and getting their residency
the
locked
residency in Florida.
and our friends who couldn't come across some of the borders,
Right.
and who had travel restrictions
Right.
during a couple of the last 2 years,
Now, a lot of
have
people-
rebounded in great numbers.
Yeah, a lot of people may think, oh, that's people coming in from Canada. Well, it is.
It is.
But that's not all. I mean, we have people coming in from Europe all the time that are
Yes.
looking to come here. Again, maybe, we have wonderful weather and great beaches and things like that, I'm sure is a big draw. But for whatever reason, they really enjoy coming and either buying a second home or a forever home in Florida.
That's right. So that is really neat to see that kind of
Right.
rebalancing of the list, which it was different. And when we go back and then say, well, you take all of that into account. I talked a little bit about California in particular and the statistics, and it would be a little too much data and too dry to go through that state by state. So I looked at it overall, and the article that we drew this from was from Florida Realtors magazine. And the point that they made as they summarized this most recent study is that for Florida, the inbound rate is over 40% higher than in 2020.
Right.
And we know that when 2020 opened at all,
Mhm.
there was our real estate market went through the roof.
It did.
End of 20 and throughout 2021.
Right.
So it's up 40% from 2020 and almost 20% higher than the 5-year average from 2017 through 2021
Right.
that included that really big
Push.
influx and
Right.
that really aggressive market that we had
Mhm.
of people coming in. So it's really interesting. It says, for Florida, tradition is migration,
Right.
inbound migration, and it
Mhm.
continues. And I think when people wonder, well, are people still moving to Florida? And
Yeah.
how is the real estate
How is the
market?
real estate market? Are things falling apart? And we still don't have the inventory.
We
Yeah.
still could use more inventory to welcome all of these wonderful
Yeah.
new friends and customers to come in. And when you see 40% more people coming in,
Mhm.
that doesn't even account for the inside the state changes when somebody
Right.
buys a larger or a smaller home or
Exactly.
moves to another community. But we definitely have seen this influx, and it may moderate a little bit. We'll see, right? As
yes.
we go into 2023 and some of the effects of the macro economy,
Mhm.
we have to all be realistic about it.
Right.
Some of that may have a little bit of a delayed reaction.
Mhm.
As you said, it takes time for people to set these big plans in motion. These are big
Exactly.
lifestyle
Sure.
changes and financial commitments people are making. So
And-
we may see a little bit of a dip. We're going to keep an eye on it, and
Right.
we'll report back when the statistics
But I
get
think one of the
updated.
things too is that we talk about the inventory. Right now, a lot of our inventory has to come from new construction.
That's right.
And we are trying to keep up with all of the new construction communities that are going on in our area, and there's a lot of them, and there's reasons
Right.
for people to to investigate a lot of them before they make a decision. But one thing I do have to say is that if you're planning on, well, maybe not this year, maybe next year, maybe in 24 would be the time for us to move. If you're going to be going into new construction, the time to buy that is now.
And certainly the time to be researching it
Right.
and scoping out what
You
communities
need
we
to
can
be
help you to
serious,
find,
right?
because the lead time
Right.
to get what you want and for materials and scheduling. These are not the 5, 6, 7 month builds that they used to be.
No.
We are still experiencing year plus,
Right.
depending on the community and the size and type of home.
Exactly.
And so if you're looking for something newer, let's talk about it now, even if
Right.
your plan is 2024 and beyond.
Exactly.
And if you have a plan for 2023, this is a great time to reach out. It's busy in our market over the winter, and so if you have an interest, you do want to be up to date on what's happening with our inventory, be on top of the inventory as it comes on the market that might serve you well. We have seen some moderation in pricing in terms of price increases.
Right.
So we can help you understand, where the market is, and our prices have not rolled back.
No.
And I don't expect that they will, because
No.
we need more inventory, and it's helped, pricing to stay where it's been, but it's not at that wild trajectory that it was a year
It
and a
is.
half ago. And so if you're a possible buyer, it's not a bad time to think
Right.
about scoping out your options and laying out a plan.
Right.
And then you have time to go back, as you said, to go home and get everything
Right.
organized and set that plan up. So we do hope that you'll reach out and contact us. Our information is below in the description to this video, and we'd love to help you regardless of which of these states or the foreign national countries that you might be coming from.
Right.
We'd love to help you find that right fit for you in Southwest Florida. And if you found something helpful in this video, what could people do?
They can subscribe to our channel.
And turn on notifications.
Absolutely.
And that way you'll know every time a new episode is posted, and you'll be up to date with what we're doing to help support our customers in Southwest Florida real estate. And we'd also ask you to give this video a thumbs up.
That
We'd
helps.
really appreciate it if you push that like button, and it does help the YouTube algorithm to push videos out to even more people like you who might be considering Florida as your next stop. So whether you're on a top 10 list or whether you're from another adjacent state, we're looking forward to seeing you soon.
Bye now.